What's got 4 sides and screams your name? No, it's not SpongeBob SquarePants at your birthday party. It's one of these little critters from Wayne's Flags. These flags will give you the best 4 sides of every story. Let's see Mark Johnson and Vance Willis in action with one of these from Wayne's Flags.
What's impressed you the most?
I did like the mini converters we just looked at. As Ray was saying, I think we have probably we have about a dozen or so of those battery.
You'll see these devices, complete with free foam insert, at many a press conference, and the story can be yours to keep in style with your very own flag from Wayne's Flags. So get over to waynesflags.net or Wayne's Flags on Twitter and let your story begin with the best Wayne's Flags. Well, this is the tearjerker part 8. What's next? And as usual, you're getting used to this mug. It's Mark Johnson over here.
And Mr. Dave Thackeray.
Yes, indeed.
I'm smiling a bit. We've been working hard on this series, and in many ways it's great to get to the end, but I've really enjoyed it.
I have, and I've learned so much from you, Mark. I feel like kissing your hand in gratitude. Today we are going to take a look at Wayne's Flags. Now, he's created the video, he's put it out there on his fancy content distribution network, YouTube. He's got a few hundred views, and already Wayne is actually telling me that he's got some client inquiries, so it's worked out very well for Wayne. He's been bitten by the bug now. He thinks, okay, there is something with this video thing. Maybe I can make something out of it. Real big part of my business, as far as marketing's concerned. But he doesn't really know where to go from here. He's created that one solid video, and now he's thinking, I can take the world on. But, you've got to start somewhere, haven't you? So where's he going from here?
Keep practicing, I think. Keep doing it. Whether you're starting off doing it monthly or weekly, just say, I am every Saturday morning or every Friday afternoon, I'm going to spend however long it takes you to do the next video, and build a portfolio. So when somebody finds you on YouTube, they find they did a search and they found one video. They say, "Oh, what other videos has Wayne got?" And then they can look at your other videos, and then you can start. We talked about in the other episode getting subscribers, and you can start building that. So I think just keeping on doing it is important, but also you could make it into what's known as a podcast, right?
We like podcasts.
Yeah, we do like podcasts.
It gives consistency to the video, and using iTunes, it's very easy to deliver it. And I like 2 things about podcasts. A, the fact that you really start developing a meaningful relationship with your viewers. But the interactive element is something that you can never replicate in a one-off video. You can start asking questions of the audience. You can start building up a repertoire of solid content, using all those great titles and keywords on YouTube to reinforce the efforts that you've made as the podcast itself. And as people start asking questions and you start delving deeper into your subject, you can really start to get to know the subject more. And we're talking about what's next. You can start bringing people in and doing interviews and having them distribute the content for you to their network.
But what is a podcast? People watching this might not know what a podcast is.
It's basically media that you can subscribe to. So instead of having to get people to come back and urging them to return based on a newsletter or a post that you've put onto your website, when you subscribe to a podcast, chiefly iTunes, it is the popular one, it's a way for them to automatically have their feed of new programs updated. So it's a bit like getting a magazine on your virtual mailbox. Every time you produce new content, all of a sudden you get a ping and there's a new program that's just popped up.
Well, I subscribe to several podcasts. I watch others live, and it is great. But I think that one thing you have to do is to make sure that you have a theme, that they are linked together. And secondly, you have to have pretty regular content. I don't think you can do it monthly. I think it probably has to be more frequently than that. Or would you say that?
I would like to start with what you feel you can handle, and anything is better than nothing. And I would suggest to you maybe monthly is a good place to start, but you and I both know this is an addictive game to be in. And as soon as you start doing it and people start rating your podcast on iTunes, which is a very popular and strong way of getting feedback, you start thinking, maybe I can do this fortnightly, or maybe it fits into my weekly marketing schedule. But start with what you can obviously work with and then build outwards as you can.
And the sort of thing that happens is that people will say, Wayne, you mentioned that there was a new green flag available, soon. Could you tell me when it's available? And so on the next podcast, you can say, well, today we're going to talk about, red flags, but let me just answer a couple of questions that came in, from viewers. And it gives the audience a sort of a sense of involvement, and actually starts building a little community around your videos, your podcasts.
The community is everything, isn't it? That's how you build a sustainable business. So Wayne now is thinking about a podcast, and he's also thinking, well, maybe I need to improve my gear. Maybe I need to get more stuff because I've got a camera, but let's face it, the audio isn't up to snuff. Or I want to actually start thinking about new views, new perspectives, people on the show other than just him. What does he do now?
I think look at your show, look at his video and say, where can I make a difference? Do I need better lighting? Do I need better audio? Is it worth? I bought the £27 microphone that Mark suggested, but maybe if I bought £100 or £150 microphone, I would get better audio. Or the video isn't very good. Maybe I need a camera. But when you've done all those things, and that might take him a few months, and he might play around, and he's still getting new viewers, he might think, well, yeah, I want to invite my mate Dave because he's got some really interesting information, and you can do it on one camera like this, but quite often you want to be able to use 2 cameras or 3 cameras,
switch views
and switch views and extend it, and you can do that with bits of equipment like this. So this is a product from Blackmagic Design, and it is called, believe it or not, the ATEM Television Studio. And this is
how
basically
things have gone small these days.
And basically it's got 4 inputs, so you can plug up to 4 cameras into it. And by using an Apple, Mac or a PC, you can control this and you can switch them or merge them together, and you can do little effects, etc., etc. And I know that is an amazing bit of equipment, and you can use that to record the show as well. You can record the output onto your Mac or your PC, and it gives you a lot of flexibility. It is a step up. It does present a few little challenges, but being able to do that is relatively inexpensive now compared to what it would have been even 2 or 3 years ago. So how much do you think a television studio costs?
I'd say around about £983.40.
Not bad, still too much. About $1,000. So it's about £600 in the UK.
And this is stuff that just a few years ago would have been exclusively within
this
the
was
domain
announced
of the professionals.
about a year ago. It shipped probably a little bit less than that ago. It is just an amazing bit of equipment. Now, Blackmagic do a whole range. They do this, they do bigger, they do up to 16 inputs for basically professional studios. But there are lots of people using little things like this with 4 inputs, especially, churches, colleges, as well as individuals.
Can I break this down then, as simple as I possibly can, so I can understand how it works? You connect that via Ethernet to your home network, and that's how you can control it on your home PC.
There's a bit of software that you run, which basically has buttons. You click on the button, camera 1, camera 2, camera 3, camera 4.
Control panel on the display of your computer. Yep. Best used by somebody who is acting as your producer while you are the host or the talent. Somebody like the exceptional Peter, who's helped us with this 8-part series incredibly. And it's as easy as that. You literally plug your cameras into those inputs there, and you can switch between the views. Something that is so alien to so many people, but you make it sound so easy. It
can be frustrating, but you're better off, if possible, finding somebody who maybe has done it before. But you can do it yourself. It is relatively straightforward. Just don't buy it and try installing it half an hour before you want to do a new recording. Give yourself time to play with it.
You made a very good point. It is all about the practice, it's about the planning, it's about the preparation, and no more so than when you're faced with a new piece of kit. Okay. That, I presume, would come into play as well if we, for example, wanted to start producing a live show, and that brings many challenges, many opportunities, but it does start making you really, it makes my head bleed just thinking about it.
I mean, one of the things something like this does for you, it allows you to create the whole of your program in one take. And you generally do that for a live show because you want, you're going out live. You can't say, right, just going to stop while we edit in some titles here. And you can use a laptop as an input to it. You can play videos into it from a laptop, with some exceptions. But generally, you can do that. You can do some titles with it. You can put those those banners that you see when somebody is on the news coming from. It says Fred Smith live from Outer Mongolia. They're known as lower thirds because they're in the lower third of the screen. You can do that. You have to prepare them first, but you can do that. There is lots and lots you can do. So going live is fantastic. It really is an adrenaline rush, and again, great for building the community. But that really is, I would suggest you need to be comfortable with the video you're doing, have your podcast going. Also, that gives you the audience. So when you do, if you do, and it's not for everybody, if somebody says, I want to go live, you've got an audience.
Great place to start might be Google Hangouts now. Google Plus offers that new service where you can go on and up to 10 people have a live conversation. The camera automatically switches. It's patented Google technology, so you could have 10 friends up there and just be talking about a subject. You can record that. I know Google recently, because Google own YouTube, recently started publishing all of your Hangouts to your own YouTube account. So automatically it's up there. So you can dabble in a rehearsal type environment before you want to start getting serious with some television studio action. You've got some more gadgets and gizmos as well to tell us about, haven't you, that kind of facilitate the live production environment? Yes, and I mean, you can go, you can spend anything from nothing or very little, maybe for a microphone or what have you, up to tens of, if not hundreds of thousands of pounds on a studio. Now, we started off actually using a piece of software. There's a piece of software from a company called Telestream called Wirecast, and this is a $500 piece of software, and it allows you to do similar sort of things to the Blackmagic television studio that we talked about. And you can do the lower thirds, you can put videos on it, and that really is aimed at live streaming. But we used it just to record, and then we took that output and converted it and sent it up to YouTube. So that's one option. That's where we started. So we started with that. We started with the big brother of the television studio, but we now run a pretty upmarket, shall we say, studio. We use a product from New Tech called the TriCaster, and that allows us to have 20 plus inputs into it. 8 real inputs, so 8 cameras plus sort of like videotape recorders, stills, lower thirds, and that is an amazingly impressive piece of kit. But for that, you are talking £25,000. They're not cheap. There is a smaller version, so there is a whole range from nothing to £25,000 plus. Then you have to add on top of that multiple cameras, your lighting, etc. So, and it depends what your organisation is. I mean, it really is amazing to me that even a lot of, medium or large and corporations don't have a studio set up like this. They always have people visiting. They always have executives coming in from different countries. And why they don't get the executive in and say, thanks, Dave, for visiting us, and can you update us on the state of the business in Europe at the moment? It's tanking.
10 minutes of good discussion, which you can then distribute to all your employees, and you've got real key messages going down to the employees, but they don't seem to do it, and I find that. I think they're missing something. You show that you mean business by demonstrating to people both on the inside and the outside world what you're doing. People just want to know what you're doing and where you're at. And I think some companies did try it, but it was in the days when you spent hundreds and hundreds of thousands of pounds doing it. And no doubt, one of the accountants saw it and said, well, do you know how much this is costing us? But when now you can put in a fairly decent setup, probably for £25,000, as long as you have some space for it, lighting, microphones, the right equipment. That is such a small amount, really, for these companies just to have it there. And even if you only use it once a week for a few hours, And word will get out, by the way. Word will get out that it's there, and people say, "Can I use it for that training thing I have to do?" And it'll take off. And I think that is something that companies will start to do again.
I think a lot of companies are probably champing at the bit now. They've heard about the reputation of video, what it can do for them and their success for the future. A lot of people have certainly heard now about the costs involved and how to get started, but I think there'll be an awful lot of people who still need a little bit of hand-holding, a bit of consultancy, a bit of an idea as to how to progress from this part forward. So what would you recommend they do then, Mark, from here?
Well, you can do research, look around. There are various videos on what you can do. But if they actually need help, TTFN TV, part of our business is consultancy. We can actually help people look at what they need for their video infrastructure, if you like. We can advise on the design and supply of whether it's a £5,000 installation or a £50,000 installation. We can do that. And the best way of getting in touch with us or one of the team here is just to send an email to webvideo@ttfn.tv, webvideo@ttfn.tv. So that was for the studio infrastructure and how you'd use it. But what about if they want to find more about how they go about marketing their videos, Dave?
Yeah, very important, that next crucial step to producing the promotion side of things. And we do create custom-based content marketing plans for people, whether it's whatever your digital marketing desires might be, and we focus on video marketing as well. So caffeinating your customers might be something that you want to do to agitate them and get them really moving to the next level and start building some really sustainable successes for your business. So I'm Dave at wordofmouth.com. That is literally the email address, but you can just ping me at GetWham on Twitter. But I've got to say, it's been a fantastic 8-parter. I think this is just the beginning of something fantastic for businesses who want to start creating amazing web video.
And if you want to see what Dave and I are up to, so get Wham on Twitter or TTFN TV on Twitter, and you get an idea of what we're getting up to on day-to-day basis.
Public.
Yes, in public. Well, I have enjoyed it, Dave.
Yeah,
thank you very much indeed.
Thank you so much.
And we hope you've enjoyed it and you have found this useful, and you'll use this to get started in web video.